I know that one of the things that you're asked to do as a teacher is to make meaningful abstractions. So when you teach the alphabet in first grade, you want to make that meaningful for the children because you have these symbols we all agree on as the letters, but how do you make them come alive and how do you make them share meaning? And so one of the things as a teacher is, Waldorf teacher, you do the picture letter of the K, king for the K. And I remember doing a picture letter of a cat for a C, the cat's head and the cat's back and its tail. It was a C, but as a teacher, you have this situation where you say to children, okay, who can give me a letter with a K sound? And you're teaching the letter C, and someone says kitten or kite. And you realize how hard it is to teach English. What do you say to children? Well, boys and girls, if the K sound is derived from the Old English, you might find the K, but if it comes from the Latin, you might, I don't know. You can't say that to children. So you have to make up a way for that to be alive for them. And I remember telling them a story about a king who needed to find a helper. He had a lot to do, and he needed to find a helper. He didn't know who should be his helper. Should it be his daughter, who's a very big support to him, the princess, or should it be his counselor, or should it be his trusty knight? And so he rides out to ask the wise woman who lives at the end of his kingdom in a little cottage. And it's the old crone, and she comes out to greet him, and she meets the king, and she says to him, I know why you've come. You've come to ask me who's going to be your trusted helper. And he says, well, that's right. How did you know? She said, come inside. And they sit down at her little table, and there's a crystal ball. And she's looking into the crystal ball, and she says, Your Majesty, the first one to greet you when you get home is going to be your trusted helper. And he's very much satisfied with that answer, and he gets on his horse, but it's a long ride back from her cottage to his castle, and when he gets in, it's late, and everyone's asleep. His daughter's gone to sleep, so she's not there to greet him. His trusted knight is retired for the night, his counselors are in bed, and he thinks, oh, the old woman was wrong. And then just at that moment, the cat comes against his leg and rubs against his leg, and he looks down and he thinks, oh, the cat will be my helper. And you say to the children, you see, boys and girls, if you hear the king's sound, the K, and you don't see the king, look for the cat because the king is too busy. And so you give them a story that has in it the meaning of why you can have a K sound from both the K and the C. But for the first graders, that's a story that they understand. So you give them a story in their terms, on their level, that makes meaningful one of these abstractions.